While my husband Finn was out, I decided to take a look around his room. As I rummaged through his belongings, I stumbled upon several receipts tucked away in his drawer. Curiosity got the better of me, and I couldn't resist checking what the receipts were for. To my shock, they turned out to be receipts for women's brand bags. I had never received such luxury bags as gifts from my husband, and as I searched further in his room, I couldn't find any evidence of women's bags anywhere. It became apparent that he must have been purchasing these bags for his lover, with whom he was having an affair. I couldn't believe my eyes. Not only was he betraying our marriage, but he had also been using our shared family credit card to buy gifts for his lover. The realization hit me hard. It meant that he was using not just his own money, but my hard-earned money as well. I was utterly devastated, never expecting my husband to be capable of such deceitful behavior. My name is Henry, and I am a 40-year-old office worker employed at a well-known clothing company. Fortunately, my job compensates me fairly well, thanks to my dedication and years of hard work. I hold a high position within my department, and I find my work both enjoyable and rewarding. I'm committed to maintaining my position at the company, even though I'm admittedly a workaholic and stay quite busy. Despite my demanding job, I do have a family. I've been married to my husband, Finn, for a decade now, and our son Theo is also 10 years old, coincidentally, the same age as our marriage. Our family of 3 has been living happily together, but it doesn't mean that I'm without concerns about our household. My foremost worry is that Finn doesn't work as much as I do. I first met Finn through work as well. At the time, I worked for a clothing company, and our products frequently featured in fashion magazines. We often had models come in for photo shoots, and Finn was one of those fashion models. With his striking good looks and a captivating presence, he was undoubtedly handsome and exuded a radiant aura. Finn was riding high on a wave of success, landing numerous modeling gigs primarily for fashion magazines. When we struck up a conversation, we discovered we shared nearly identical tastes in music and TV shows, creating an instant connection. Our friendship naturally evolved into romantic involvement. We began going out to dinner together, and that marked the start of our relationship. After 2 years of dating, life took an unexpected turn when we learned I was pregnant with our child. We decided to tie the knot, essentially having a shotgun wedding. However, our bond as a couple remained strong, and marriage was something we had already contemplated during our courtship. The pregnancy merely expedited our journey into matrimony. Following the arrival of our son Theo, we carved out our own version of happiness as a family. However, my husband's modeling career took a significant downturn. As he approached his late 20s, around the age of 25, he began receiving fewer job offers than before. Thankfully, with my position at a major brand corporation, we didn't face any financial difficulties. I held on to the hope that Finn would discover a new passion and pursue a different career path. Yet, it seemed he was resistant to change. Despite a steady decline in work opportunities, he made no effort to explore new avenues. Eventually, after a few years, he found himself entirely jobless. He didn't contribute to household chores and had essentially become an unemployed individual. During my busy periods, he stayed at home to look after Theo, which was helpful. However, Finn never made an attempt to re-enter the workforce. Even as Theo grew older and required less attention, Finn remained jobless. To this day, he continues to spend his time relaxing at home, although I'm not entirely sure what he does with his days. My own work responsibilities have steadily increased, leaving me with little time to provide my husband with the attention he might need. I can't help but feel partly responsible for his current situation. Consequently, I've tried various strategies to encourage Finn to rejoin the workforce. You're now 35 years old. Why not consider appearing in fashion magazines targeting people in their 30s and 40s? I suggested, hoping this might reignite his interest in modeling. Finn's response, however, was less than enthusiastic. "That sounds like a hassle, and the shoots take up the whole day," he replied. I couldn't help but retort, "Well, that's what work is, you know." His attitude was perplexing. "I don't want to do that. The working conditions aren't great either," he countered. I sighed in exasperation. "So are you planning never to work again?" His response left me bewildered. "Well, that actually sounds great, don't you think?" I couldn't comprehend what he meant by that. Despite his situation, divorce never crossed my mind. Theo was still young, and Finn was a genuinely kind father to him. Our son affectionately referred to him as Daddy and adored him deeply. I believed it wouldn't be fair to take Theo's father away from him for my own reasons. Although Finn was now 35 years old, he retained the same striking handsomeness he possessed during his modeling days. Even as I interacted with colleagues at work, I couldn't help but think that Finn was the most handsome and attractive person among them. Well, perhaps it's because Finn frequently attended kickboxing gyms while I was at work, and he maintained an impressive physique. If only he'd put that determination into his career, he'd be perfect. One day, I noticed my husband wearing a suit early in the morning. "What's going on, honey? Why are you dressed in a suit?" Finn replied, "Oh, I have a job interview. A friend who's a model might introduce me to an agency. They want to interview me or at least meet me in person." I responded with enthusiasm, "That's fantastic. Good luck with your interview, honey." I was overjoyed that Finn had finally found motivation to start working. Theo, our son, shared my excitement, saying, "Maybe Daddy will appear in magazines again. That would be so cool." I left for work that day in high spirits. When I finished my work and returned home early, eager to hear about Finn's interview, I discovered that he hadn't come home. I asked Theo if his father had been home, and he replied, "No, Daddy didn't come home when I got back." Worried, I stayed up late as it was a Saturday, and finally, around 2 a.m., Finn returned home, clearly intoxicated. He stumbled onto the living room couch without acknowledging my presence. I noticed he had his phone in hand. Though I knew I shouldn't, an overwhelming curiosity pushed me to check his messages. Gently, I used his thumb to unlock the fingerprint-protected phone and looked at his messages. To my shock, I found an intimate conversation with a woman named Stella. On WhatsApp, Stella's message read, "Dinner today was delicious. I had a great time at the hotel too." I couldn't believe what I was seeing. I immediately took a photo of the conversation as evidence. As I looked at Stella's profile picture, I recognized her face from somewhere before. I recognized this woman. She's Stella, if my memory serves me right. Stella used to work as a model for a fashion magazine until a few years ago. I had the chance to work with her several times in the past, but she got married and decided to quit her modeling career. Does this mean that both Finn and Stella are married but having an affair, not only behind my back, but also behind Stella's husband's? My anger swelled, but I decided to wait and see what my husband would say the next day. The following morning, I woke up my husband, who was still sleeping on the couch. "Oh, I must have fallen asleep here. Did you have a job interview yesterday? You came home at 2 a.m. Thea replied confidently, "That's okay because Daddy has been causing problems, right? Besides, he's been spending time with a woman I don't know recently." Shocked, I inquired further, "What do you mean?" Theo explained, "Sometimes when I come home from school, there's a lady I've never seen before with Daddy. He said she was a collie, but she always leaves when I arrive, so I don't really know who she is." My heart sank at Finn's deception, even toward our son. With this revelation, I was determined to carry out my plan for revenge. Initially, I had only intended to stop Finn's credit card before his trip, but my plans had evolved. I decided to go all in. I knew who Stella's husband was and had visited their home with a business associate in the past. As far as I could tell, they were still living in the same house from recent Facebook photos. I contacted my parents and brothers, explaining the situation, and they rushed to help me pack up Finn's belongings. I sent his belongings to Stella's house, along with evidence of the affair and a message for Stella's husband. Finally, I suspended the credit card I shared with Finn, packed up our things, and moved out. "Theo, now that we canceled Daddy's card, let's go," I said to my son. Theo replied, "Yeah, sure." We decided to head straight to my parents' house and stay there temporarily. Returning to my parents' home and enjoying my mother's home-cooked meals after so long was incredibly relaxing. My brothers also joined us, and we had a warm family reunion, the first in a while. My father was overjoyed to see his grandson, Theo. Later in the evening, I received a phone call from Finn. "Hello? Oh, Henry, I'm sorry, but it's urgent. Can you transfer some money to my account?" I questioned, "Why? You mentioned you would manage within your budget and savings." Finn hesitated but pleaded, "I did, but please, I'll pay you back later. You see, it's essential for me to appear financially stable, or the agency won't consider working with me." Doubtful, I inquired further, "So where is this agency located?" Finn stammered, well, I forgot the details. What difference does it make?" I decided to press on. "I'd like to know the agency's name and the model you're working with. If you're genuinely about to get a job, you should be able to provide that information." Finn resisted, "No, don't call them. It'll embarrass me." Frustrated, I confronted him, "Stop with the lies already. You're traveling with a woman, aren't you? Stella Green, the former model you used to work with a lot, who is now a married housewife." Finn let out a distressed cry and fumbled for words. That's absurd. I declared firmly, I've suspended the credit card for now. Whether it's the hotel or restaurant bills you can't pay, it's your problem. Sign the divorce papers when you return home. Goodbye. In disbelief, Finn stammered, "De-divorce? What are you?" I disconnected the call and turned off my phone. I intended to make Finn face the consequences of his actions during his trip. A few days later, my husband arrived at my parents' house, looking exhausted. "Henry, I'm truly sorry. Please forgive me," he pleaded, sinking to his knees. I remained resolute. "I won't forgive you. I've already made up my mind to divorce you. I can't stay married to someone who betrayed our family by cheating behind my back." Finn panicked. "No, you can't. I'll be in big trouble if it ends like